my definition of respect has no room for hierarchy. If we're assuming a hierarchy,
my life has no room for hierarchy.
Then that's not respect. Yes.
Wow, it's so hard to. Wow, you know what? When we just picked this topic,
the deeper we go, the harder. There's things that come up, and you're like, well, okay, but I said that, but then there's another way to look at it.
It's like, hi, and welcome to Sunflower Philosophy Podcast. I'm DC.
I'm Juliana.
We are certified consulting hypnotists. I'm actually board certified. Juliana will be soon. She just has to submit some more paperwork. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah. So today we are talking about respect. And this is actually part 2. If you watched the previous one about self-love, mm-hmm. then you'll know what we're talking about. It came up, we decided, okay, same day, right after, let's just go right in and talk about respect.
Yeah, I would say you probably don't have to listen to that one first before you listen to this one.
Oh, no, you don't.
But if you want to go back and hear what we said about self-love, that'll be the episode right before this.
You absolutely do not need to listen to that first. One does not hinge on the other. It just gave us the idea, and we said, well, let's just go right into the next one.
Yeah. So if you're new here on this podcast, we are, well, also, we didn't say this in the last episode, but we are mother-daughter.
Oh, so yes, we are.
We are. We're family. And so we're having this conversation. We have these conversations with each other because we have a lot of interesting conversations, we think, just on a day-to-day basis. So we wanted to bring them to everyone else out here.
We wanted to, what's the word? Impose them on you.
Yeah, we wanted to impose them on a wider audience. So...
Why should we alone have to put up with us?
Yeah, when all of you can share.
When you guys can put up with us too.
Yeah.
Except we can't make you listen to us or watch us.
So hopefully you find something valuable.
But seriously,
here.
like we've had so many really good conversations that kind of like lead from one thing to another, and we come to like realizations and insights, and we're like, oh, we should be recording these conversations.
Yeah.
So now, we're having these conversations, on camera, on recording, whatever you call it without audio. I mean, we're just on audio as opposed to video, but whatever. And so now, I guess we're still getting our sea legs in a way because, we're trying to have conversations with each other.
Yeah.
But we know that there's, a camera on, and we know that our voices are being recorded. And
well, yeah, so. if you're coming to this like later on, I don't know if we'll have labeled the episode with numbers, but this is a very early.
Yeah, it's early on.
So we are, we're getting there. We're figuring it out. But
so if this is like 10 years from now and you're watching it, well.
Probably we've gotten a lot better at at this whole thing. Hopefully we've got a better quality camera at least. That's my hope one day.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, we can get one.
Yes, but
anyway,
let's get into our topic for the day.
Respect.
Respect.
I don't even remember how it came up, and it doesn't matter. We don't need to go back and rehash anything from the other episode, but it's just a really, really important topic. Respect.
So what is it? I think, I have to get this out of the way. Of course, every single time the word respect comes up, immediately the song by Aretha Franklin is playing in my head.
Absolutely. I mean, I almost sang it before.
And isn't there one line, doesn't she say, like, find out what it means to me?
Yes. RESPECT. Find out what it means. I think that's what it says.
Yeah. Which I feel like can kick us off on this conversation because if we're unless there's context there that I'm not aware of, I feel like that's the implication is that respect is defined by the individual. Mm. So there's a level to which maybe to afford someone respect is to be open to hearing what their version of it is.
Interesting. So yeah, I mean, that takes it kind of to another realm, but also, I mean, yeah, if respect, obviously everything's different to everyone. We're all unique individuals, but if respect is completely different to each person, how do you treat everyone with respect? I feel like we jumped ahead, but we don't really have to answer that this moment, but maybe that's something we can come back to after we've hashed out.
Yeah, well, maybe we can talk about our
bit.
individual concepts of respect and then
Yes.
get there eventually.
Yes.
So, who wants to start?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I will say that one thing I do is my best to treat everyone with respect. I mean, the thing is, again, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. But I think when you're, say, dealing with someone, in the service industry, for example, you're at a restaurant or you're in a store and there's a clerk or whatever, you just treat that person as an equal. Mm-hmm. I think just treating everyone as equal is respect. Just because someone happens to be serving you does not make you above them.
Which is wild to me to hear you vocalize that, because it feels like that should be the assumption. But I know that that's not how everyone treats people in the service industry.
No,
that's not the assumption that people come to restaurants with or stores with.
No, it's definitely not, and it blows my mind that that's true. But now I will say that if you disrespect me, all bets are off. Listen, I not always. Sometimes I can maintain, but it always, after all of these years of living, it always takes me by surprise when I go into a situation treating the other person with the utmost respect and they just do not reciprocate. And I still get taken aback by that.
I would say, because I worked briefly, but I did work in customer service for a bit. So I became accustomed to the reality that a lot of people are not, especially, and I also understand that it's situational, right? Because a lot of times when people are calling customer service, there's already elevated emotions happening, depending on the industry that you're working in and everything. And so there was a level of learning not to take other people's emotions personally, and it's kind of like being able to have the self-respect to not take other emotions onto me as a reflection of myself when I know that what it is that they're going through something that they're just taking out on me. And then also having the respect to then respond how I want to respond in the moment, which honestly I feel like for me is often, not always, because there are times when I definitely feel affronted by something and have more of an inclination to sort of set a boundary, real firm, push back.
Yeah.
But I feel like most of the time how it comes out for me is I don't really want to be bothered. So whatever way I can just maybe I think some people call it stonewalling, where you just don't really just don't respond or react to the other, you don't mirror their emotion at all, you just give them nothing.
I think that's great. Right. When I say all bets are off for me, I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. Not by any means. Not at all.
Yeah.
But I do remember when you were in that customer service job, and I remember you would get off these calls and you would say that they came in hot, and many times you said that. I'm not saying every time, but many times you said that they came in hot, and by the time they got off the phone, they were just, thanking you, and they were calmed down, and they were, because they responded to your energy. You remained in alignment. You remained calm.
This is true. And that happened a lot. Not every time. Right. Definitely not every time. Because there were times when, someone got me elevated, right? And it's also if you have a long day and you're answering call after call, you can't always reset. Your nervous system gets frazzled. And sometimes, especially back then, I didn't have the tools I have now as much. I wasn't as accustomed to really and that was one of the things that helped me learn the importance of that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, right. Like everything. It's like a learning opportunity.
But
it was not a great job, but it was a learning opportunity.
Yeah. And there were definitely a lot of times when I could, maybe it's not even always stonewalling. I think for me, a lot of times it's if I can maintain the friendliest.
Responding, not reacting.
Responding, not reacting. Maintaining the friendliest disposition no matter what, And again, that's just not always how I feel. But I feel like more often than not, I am able to maintain that. And especially when I'm regulated in myself, when I'm taking care of myself, when I'm in which I think there's a level to which you also have to accept your own changeability, right? There's going to be times when you're in a better mood than others and you're more 100%. Able to handle things than others. And,
absolutely.
And respond in the way that you want to. And so for me, I think sometimes respect to me, how I express it to others and how I give it to myself at the same time. I feel like that the ideal is when I feel like the respect is happening mutually, not because the other person has to be respecting me, but because I'm respecting myself by responding in a way that feels respectful of me. And sometimes that way of responding is to set a boundary, but sometimes that way of responding that's respectful of me and the other person is also being friendly and just not taking on what they are, being as respectful as I can to them, regardless of how they're responding to me, and just letting it roll off my back. So I'm still reacting in a way or responding in a way that I maintain respect for myself, but then I also am behaving in a way that I perceive to be respectful to the other person, even if they're reacting in a way that's just not.
Well, I mean,
my version of respect.
I think that is a really, really good strategy, because you never know what's going on in the other person's life. So, if someone's being rude and disrespectful to you, maybe that's just their tendency and they just don't have consideration for other people's feelings. But maybe there's something going on in their life that is stressing them out. I mean, I tend to still be respectful even when something's going on in my life. In fact, sometimes I feel like I'm more respectful because I think if I feel vulnerable, if there's something going on in my life, then it's almost like I'm even more considerate of others. And if that makes sense, it's weird. Yeah. So I think I don't understand when, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that I think in the moment, I don't understand, well, I'm treating you with respect. Why are you not reciprocating? Why are you not treating me with respect back? But you know what? Everybody's different. Maybe that person deals with whatever's going on in their life differently. Now, then there are the people who are, that you get to know, and they are, serial disrespectful people, or they're, they think
there were always people who called in because they were on a power trip and they wanted to manipulate, and you could tell they had a good time, trying to get what they could out of you, and that's their version of fun. It's not my version of respect, because it's wasting my time.
And it's not fun.
But and it's annoying to deal with. But and that's where it's okay, you're not really. I mean, maybe that tendency could have come from some kind of difficulty they dealt with in their life, but it's not really for me to psychoanalyze them and assume assume their personal traumas and everything. I can just respond to what's happening in front of me. So in that area, I'm less inclined to give someone grace. I'm just I would prefer to not have to deal with you at all.
Well, that's why it is hard to treat everyone with their individual definition of respect, because you don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I feel like maybe we should talk a little bit more about what respect means to us. I'm not even sure if I at the top of my mind know, but I feel like there's some words that are coming to me that can maybe help me define it. And I feel like it's respect involves a general presumption of good intent at the first.
Yes. I agree.
Just this presumption that everyone's doing their best and means their best. And that understanding that I know that's not always the case, but it's more about my experience. Often, first of all, going into an experience with that helps me not react to things from a place of defensiveness, right? Because that's where, like, you know, one person comes in hot, you come in like you and then you're like going back.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole cycle.
It's a whole,
so
yeah.
for me, it's like not responding to that cycle, but also just generally assuming that someone else is going to be friendly and kind, or at least is doing their best, because I'm aware of that there are times when I might come across in a way that is awkward or unfriendly, not because I mean to, but because maybe I'm just distracted or overwhelmed in that moment, and I can't respond to someone at the same level that they responded to me. So I can give that grace because I've been there. I've been that person. I'm aware enough to know that it's not personal. It doesn't mean anything.
But is that disrespect?
It's not, but that's where I think that people perceive things as disrespect that someone else does not intend as disrespect.
Right.
And that's where it gets, you know, the lines get kind of blurry in terms of what is respect and what is disrespect, because someone will feel disrespected by someone's actions when they don't even intend it to be disrespectful at all, but because of their personal experiences, their personal idea of what respect entails, they perceive it that way. And vice versa. And that's why I feel like defining it for yourself, but being self-aware enough to know what you perceive it as and how that might not align with someone else's perception, that's, to me, even respectful in and of itself. Like, accounting for other perspectives, not to my detriment, not so that I'm like, oh, I'll just go along with whatever that person wants if that's not aligned with me, if that's not comfortable for me. But to be able to allow someone else to have their experience and respect their experience at the same time as I'm respecting mine, not at the expense of it. Which, again, sometimes that means, like, if you set a boundary with someone, and that boundary is you respecting yourself, they might still perceive it as disrespectful, even if for you're saying, I'm setting this boundary because our relationship is important to me and I want to be able to continue it. But this has been crossing my line, so I'm not going to respond to you when you yell at me, say. Like, I don't want that in my life. I want to find other ways that we can work through our emotions. So if you start yelling at me, I'm going to walk out of the room. And if someone else is like, well, that's disrespectful, you can't hear me out.
Well,
someone could see it that way. But that's what I'm saying,
I guess. I mean, I think to get along with people in society, we kind of do need to have a general understanding of what it is. I mean, just being courteous, being polite, and listen, the whole treat others the way you want to be treated. Okay, maybe you don't know how they want to be treated, but if you want people to be courteous to you, be courteous to them. If you want people to take your feelings into consideration, take their feelings into consideration. I mean, I think...
I agree, but I don't think it's that simple.
I think it has to be to get along in society. You know what I mean? Like, you have to simplify it. If you start getting too deep in the weeds, then...
I understand that, and that's why, to me, the utmost form of respect is to assume the best of intent, even when I don't understand where someone's coming from.
Treat everyone with the best of intentions. Be considerate of their feelings. Listen to them.
But I do feel like, so one of the reasons why I feel like it's not, I feel like I understand why you say it would have to be this simple for us to all have a mutual understanding of respect and treat each other with respect in society, and for that to be effective. But I feel like in actual practice, and a lot of what we see in the world right now, it's not so simple, because the idea, how do I want to say this? So, because I don't think people, I think part of the problem that we see with people clashing so much is that we don't all have the same idea, same concept of respect, that we don't actually know what it means.
Is it that, or are people just not caring to respect people who disagree with them?
Well, yeah, and I think there are people who see respect as important, as something that you do no matter if you agree with someone or not, and some people see respect as having nothing to do with that. If someone disagrees with them on certain things, then respect goes out the window. And that's why I feel like it's a lot more complicated in actual practice than what you're saying. I'm not saying we couldn't get there as a society, because anything's possible, but I'm also going to pivot from that conversation a bit to something like a little bit less deliberate in terms of how people can be unaware and disrespectful based on certain standards. That is a little bit more, I think, of a gray area, or even more of something to be aware of and take into account. So, for example, some people might see making eye contact as a sign of respect, right? But there are people who have different tendencies, neurodivergence, I believe it's something that is, I'm not sure because there's been a lot more expansion in the language around different I don't even like the word disorders. I don't want to say it like disorder, but autism, for example, there's a difficulty sometimes people with autism have with making eye contact. But if someone perceives that as disrespectful, they're not actually being disrespectful because there's no intent of disrespect there. It's like a neurological situation for them. It's that eye contact for them is so intense, or at least that's how I've heard it described.
I understand that. I mean, I know.
It's honestly, when you understand where they're coming from, it might be more respectful for someone to not meet their eyes, to not impose eye contact on them, right? And so that's an example of how two people can come from two different experiences and have different ideas. I mean, in terms of what respect is. You
never know. You don't know what you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. So if you don't know someone has a condition or situation like that, then you can only do your best and just treat them with kindness and courtesy and what have you.
And that's where I also feel like it's important to note, I don't see respect as something that needs to be mutual. I see it as something that you choose to do, and you make it your business.
See, now I disagree, because I believe that I feel like respect is equality. And I feel like every single person, from the homeless person on the street to, now it's King of England, deserves equal respect. And I don't think that happens. I don't think that.
Well, we're talking about respect on a societal level.
I guess that's where my mind is with it, and your mind is in a different place. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's a tendency for people to look down on people who have less money, no money. Money seems to have a lot to do with the amount of respect that people receive, right? And, in this country, right, the forefathers, no kings, okay? But yet we're supposed to have automatic respect for the president. Now, I don't care who it is. The president is a civil servant. Mm-hmm. Mm. We elected you to work for us. Why do I need to stand when you come into the room? Are you better than I am? No. Are you worse than I am? No.
Yeah.
You're a human being. I'm a human being. Listen, I think, the royalty stuff, that's all fun, right? I enjoyed watching The Crown, and I enjoy watching all sorts of things related to the royals. I think, as far as documentaries and historical fiction and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, do we really think that those people are born to be respected more than others? I don't know what you're supposed to do, bow or curtsy or whatever. I mean,
and now I see what you're saying. I wasn't saying that. Okay, yeah. No, I
know. I'm not saying you were saying that. I'm just saying that
respect is something that I feel like cannot exist unless you assume that everyone is
equal,
afforded. Yes,
right.
I think that what we use the word respect to refer to how we treat the president or the royals or whatever. I don't think that's actually respect. I don't think that.
No, but
I think that is something else.
You have to have respect for.
Yes. And
authority. You have to have respect for, people in higher, quote unquote, higher positions.
I want to propose the concept that my definition of respect has no room for hierarchy. If we're assuming a hierarchy,
my life has no room for hierarchy.
Then that's not respect. Yes, and that's
one thing I can't stand is elitism. I cannot stand it.
I know. Yeah, no, me too. And honestly, I've always felt the same. I've always felt that way about any. And here's the thing, right? It's just like, if an individual happens to hold a certain role, and you admire what they do in that role, it's still, I think, you're affording them respect as a person because they are a person first. But then also, if you additionally are like, I really like how you do your job, I really respect the policies that you hold or the way that you serve other people, then yeah. But if you're like, well, I respect you as a human being because you're a human being, but you're also disrespecting a whole bunch of people by treating them as lesser and by by hurting them instead of serving them, then no, I don't respect you in that role.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
There's no respect that doesn't exist there because you are not operating within that system.
I mean, I just don't think that like any one, human being is just automatically deserving of more respect than another. And
when I was saying, so I think we got onto the topic because I like this topic, so I'm glad you brought it up. But when I was saying before about respect not being like dependent on reciprocity, I wasn't talking about on a societal level or in a broad strokes. I was talking about like when I choose to be respectful, it's not conditional. It's not like I'm not going to choose to be respectful only when someone else respects me. Respect is something that I choose to do because I do have that core belief of everyone is equal.
Right. Like I always start out respectful. And listen, I'm not saying that I automatically, I know I might have implied that earlier on that when I said all bets are off, that I automatically, like go off the rails if someone is disrespectful to me when I start out. But I always enter a situation, even when I'm upset, right? If there's something that went wrong and I have to call somebody and say something, I say, all right, listen, I know this isn't your fault. I know that you didn't, do this. This is not your responsibility, but this happened and this needs to be corrected. And this is, because like, as you know, I've gone through a lot of stuff with getting care for my parents and stuff like that. And, your parents, you're upset if they're not getting, the care they need or whatever.
Yeah.
My dad has been really, not well for a couple of years now. And I've encountered, a lot of situations where I need to be the advocate for him. And so, like I said, I always enter the conversation treating the person like, just with the utmost respect.
With kindness, compassion.
Right. Understanding. And speak to them as like an equal or whatever, just because they're like serving me in this capacity. I don't think any less of them. And I definitely sometimes treat them in almost like in an elevated way or whatever, but, yeah, I don't know where I was going. That was in response to something you said. Yeah. Anyway.
Something I do want to bring it back around to is because when I'm saying like I aim in most not every situation, most situations to treat someone with respect, with what I perceive to be respect, even if they're treating me not in a way that I perceive to be respectful. That only exists as long as I am also treating myself with respect. So like it doesn't go as far as to like, I think sometimes I can imagine someone taking that as like, oh, so you're just, if someone's just like abusing you, you're just gonna like verbally, eviscerating you for no reason. You're just gonna take that. It's like, no, the respectful thing to do for me is to extract myself from that situation. If I need to fight, if I need to defend myself like physically, yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's respect for myself. That's respect for my personhood, or for someone else who I need to maybe step in and defend, if that's the case. I do feel like that is included in that situation. I do feel like respect is relative to the situation that you're in to that extent. It's not, it's like, I'm not respectful to others at the detriment of myself, because right. I just don't, no. I don't define that for myself as true respect.
I don't think it came off like that either, so.
No, but I wanted to touch on that specifically and say that specifically because I feel like that could be important for other people to hear as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like so much of there was definitely, it might be a generational thing, but this rhetoric of like respect your elders, but some people meant that to be respect, take any abuse that I give to you because you are a child and I'm an adult.
100%. And I actually wanted to, so, okay, we don't plan these things out. We just pick a topic and we go with it. So there are different ways in which you can look at respect, and we've touched on them, but I kind of want to like clarify it, right? There's the respect where like, okay, I'm interacting with another human being and I'm being polite and courteous and what have you, right? And then there's that you're supposed to have respect for whatever. And
that never sat right with me.
No.
To me, it's very situational.
It is situational, because if you're talking about individuals, you don't personally need to respect that other person's beliefs or the way they act or what have you, right? There is, wow, it's so hard to, wow. You know what? When we just picked this topic,
the deeper we go, the harder. There's things that come up and you're like, well, okay, but I said that, but then there's other way to look
because
at it.
It's like, okay, just by virtue of the fact that you're a human being, you are not on a lower level or higher level than anyone else. We're all equal. But then you have people who act and behave a certain way and you lose respect for them. Having said that, doesn't mean I'm going to
treat them.
I'm not right. I'm not going to I'm not going to treat them disrespectfully. I'm still going to treat them like the human being that they are, but I might not respect what they do or what they believe or what they stand for. So there is that difference there. Like when you just come on with a topic, respect. I mean, when you think about it, there's just so many.
And there are so many ways in which, there's so many specific situations where I could see, like something that we said being misconstrued in a very specific scenario.
I'm misconstruing myself.
Yeah, same. But I feel like that's why it's such an interesting conversation, and I honestly don't feel like I have a conclusion on respect for this recording. But what it makes me want to do is kind of like when I mentioned in our previous podcast about self-love, I mentioned the book All About Love by Bell Hooks, and she philosophizes on the concept of love. And it makes me want to read someone's philosophy on the concept of respect and get some different perspectives and people who have really spent a lot of time like digging into this as a thing in and of itself.
You know what? I think if I don't know you and I'm just encountering you or meeting you or speaking with you on the phone, I will treat you with respect. Because you've given me no reason not to. And it does, and I'm not saying I will treat other people disrespectfully. But like, if I have no reason not to respect you, I will always be kind, courteous, and considerate of your feelings.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, so this is kind of, all right, this is how our conversations go. This is what, we come to conclusions. We get the aha moments, right? So we start with a topic like, okay, so... But then once I know people, then I develop my own opinions about you. And then my respect varies on levels. I will still treat you with respect. I will still be nice and cordial and considerate and whatever. I mean, but maybe I don't respect this thing that you do or believe, or maybe I don't respect whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. It's way more. It's way more complicated than just what is respect, and everyone deserves it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes and no. It's yes and no. It depends on what you're talking about.
And one conclusion I want to come to is the idea that respect is not always a blanket way of acting and treating people, but a situational, in the moment, you decide, is this respectful or not?
Right.
How you're being treated or how you're treating someone else. And you, in each moment, depending on the very specific energies and specificities of the interaction that you're having, get to decide if you feel like you acted in alignment with your version of respect, and if the whole situation was in alignment with your version of respect.
Yeah. And you know what, I think when it comes to respect, I think what it brings me to a lot of times is elitism, and how much I despise it, and how much
the assumption that anyone deserves respect by virtue of some hierarchy.
Yes,
that they exist.
Well, that and even more so, I think the opposite, right? That a homeless person,
that someone doesn't
deserve respect by virtue of their lot in life, or the assumption that, oh well, that person just doesn't want to work, or that. But you never know somebody's. So
and I feel like that whole mentality, like that only serves people who benefit from hierarchy by being at the top.
Yes.
To have other people think there are people below me, I must judge people, I must put people, I must rank people. I must rank myself, I must rank others. If I feel low, then I must have someone below me to point to. And that just serves whoever's at the top of that hierarchy.
It's funny. Dad and I just watched I guess it's the most recent, or the final, I think it says final in it or something, the movie, Downton Abbey movie, right? And every time a servant or somebody gets elevated or treated with respect, like I'm always so happy, unless I don't care for the character, but I mean, for the most part, it's always like, oh yes, victory, or anytime like, women stand up for themselves because of that, like that time period and all that, right? Like, it's kind of like, yes, victory, right? When the underdog, you know what? I think that's where it comes down to with respect and elitism and stuff. It's like, I don't know, like, I always kind of like root for the underdog, and I just think people who aren't as fortunate as I am, for example, I just want to know, I just want them to know that they are respected, that just because they have less or
and deserving of it,
and yeah,
but
exactly.
Also there's like the inherent narrative that because someone has less than you financially, that they automatically feel lesser than, and some people don't. Right? There's that. There's the societal narrative that makes us assume that a lot of people do because we're taught to. But there's also, and you
this observe
this
how
might be
treated.
Opening a whole can of worms as well. But there's
a new topic.
This is something that that I thought of the other day, because I don't know. I think I saw someone comment. I don't remember the context, but there was some kind of comment where, like, in response to what someone said in the video, in a video about, like, I don't even remember what it was, but the main idea of the comment was someone was talking about how, well, no, like, I don't treat people like that in a bad way. In fact, I always respect people like that. I pity them. And I was like, oh, pity is not respect. I have strong feelings about this. I feel that if you pity someone, you do not respect them. I feel like we have a bit of a skewed concept of how useful or helpful pity really is as like an emotion or a way of thinking. I do not see pity as respectful at all.
I mean, I think that could be a whole nother topic of, like, you do people more of a service by thinking of them in an elevated way, like they are fine, they are well, they are strong, they are healthy, they are prosperous.
Also, I feel like sometimes people equate pity with acknowledging the difficulties of someone's situation and thinking that in order to, like, help, like, it's like pity is not respect because it's looking down on someone, automatically assuming that, oh, like, that poor person.
I mean, it's also,
and when you don't even know them.
It's also possible that person used the wrong word too.
Yes,
like,
and I actually think,
have compassion for them because maybe they're living out in the cold or something, and that's difficult.
Yeah, and whatever they were talking about, it wasn't about homeless people or unhoused people, but it is, to me, like a trigger word, I feel, because, like, because to me, maybe someone listening to this, their first instinct, if they don't understand what I'm saying exactly off the bat, could be to say, well, like, but if you don't acknowledge the hardship someone's dealing with, then how can you help them? But no, I'm talking, like, pity is like looking down on someone's situation and feeling bad for them. You can see that someone needs assistance and help them without seeing that need for assistance as something that makes them lesser. right? There's almost this idea that if someone needs help, or if there's something in society that's not aligned to who they are as a person, like, for example, if someone who is living with a disability, a lot of things in society are structured in a way that it's harder for them to do certain things. That doesn't mean that's a problem with them. We could see that as a problem with society. And acknowledging that someone needs assistance in some area is not the same as being like, oh, like, poor baby, I feel so bad for you. It also feels like pity, just to me feels like someone who's like, oh, I'm going to, like, make myself feel better. And this is me, like, really projecting maybe, like, the worst possible, like, presumption onto someone who, like, does not mean it this way at all. I understand that. But, like, there's this, like, feeling of, like, oh, like, because I feel bad for you, I can feel better about myself as a person because, like, I can see how hard that is for you. But then, like, not actually doing anything to like, be there for someone who needs it, or, like, take action that someone that, you know, could help someone, right? Like, pity is not a replacement for just being a decent human being.
Right. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And that's that on that. So,
well, I think that, I mean, on the conclusion I think we came to is that respect is a more, what? a more complicated topic or whatever. You know, well, there's different. Yeah. It goes in so many different directions.
Yeah. And that's what, like I said, maybe this will encourage me to see if there's some interesting philosophy out there that I can get some different perspectives on.
And also, I'm glad that I clarified it for myself, right? It's like, okay, if I don't know you, you automatically get my respect. And if I already know you, it's my level of respect is going to be based on, like, how I feel about you respect-wise is going to be based on what I know about you. But I will still treat you the same way I treat everyone else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I would say same.
Yeah.
Same for me.
Okay, so I learned something.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the most important and useful thing we can all take from this conversation, is to at least understand on a deeper level your own, what respect means to you, how you give it, how you show it, and just learn a little bit more about your personal associations with that word, and maybe other words that come to mind when you think of respect, like kindness, compassion, I don't know, honesty, things like that.
Yeah.
And define it for yourself, and then you can more consciously implement it in your life, or dissect your own presumptions and assumptions that you have about other people and how they treat you as well.
Right. You know, I guess I care a lot about how other people feel. You know what I mean? Like, I want everyone to feel good. I want everyone to feel love, respect, worth, you know, self-worth, whatever, worthy. Just, you know, I know that's whatever, but that's how I feel.
And I
don't.
No, I don't want, I feel like for me, it's more about feeling the freedom to feel however you feel in a given moment, and like,
I'm laughing because, like, I'm trying to take away your freedom of feeling bad. She's letting you have it. No,
well, and that's where like, I don't think that, like, you're saying that. I don't think that I'm saying that.
I know.
But that's where our different ways of thinking come in, right? Because we receive the words that we say in different ways.
Yes. And because we are very different.
And I think for me, like, and this is a whole other conversation we can have another time, but I think sometimes the perceived pressure to feel happy, to feel a certain way, inhibited my ability to feel happy for a while, because it emphasized to me this wrongness with how I was feeling that wasn't happy. And so I feel like that's why it's an important distinction for me.
My fault?
No. Oh, okay. I mean, like, the pressure might have come from you at times, other people at times, but mostly it was just this general perception that I need to be happy for other people's sake, or because there's something wrong with me if I'm not. And that's why I have the concept of like what I want for other people that I do, because it's what I want for myself. And also what has been the most direct avenue for me to actually feeling more happy, satisfied, and just generally okay in life. Because when I accept how I'm feeling in the moment, it doesn't become this weight. settling on me, pressing down on me, feeling like I have to fix something with myself. It just becomes a moment, an experience that flows in and out. And sometimes I can even enjoy all the different flavors of emotion that pass through.
And I do want to say that, you know, we've talked about, oh, we're so different and everything. However you feel is how you feel, and it's fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. One thing we're not trying to do is impose anything on people. We're just having a conversation, and if you agree with stuff, great. If you don't agree with stuff, great. You know, like, and I don't even know if I agree with myself. You know, like that's
yeah. And you can have your own exploration alongside us and come to your own conclusions. And,
yeah.
And if you do, comment.
Let us know.
Below in YouTube, or I think, can you comment on Spotify? I think you can. Wherever you are, if you can comment and share your thoughts, your perspective. And it can be different. It can align with some of the things we said. Either way, we're interested. So,
yeah. Definitely. Are
we winding down now?
I don't know. Should we just remind people that about sunflowerphilosophy.com is our website if you're interested. You can email us at info@sunflowerphilosophy.com. And
why might you? Because you might be interested in hypnosis, working with us on, you know, any goals you have or challenges you're experiencing. Hypnosis can be a really powerful tool for that. And I'm also a tarot reader, so I'll do tarot readings as well. If I have personal readings open, then they'll be available on the website. And you can check out Sunflower Philosophy Tarot, which is our YouTube channel affiliated with this that is dedicated to tarot readings. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out too.
And then, with the utmost respect, we
thank you for listening.
Yeah, we thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye for now.